Hi everybody, my name is Barry Schwartz and this is the Search Buzz video recap. Today is Friday, November 1st, and this is the search news we covered over at the Search Engine Roundtable. A lot of things to talk about. First, the big things that you want to hear about are more on the Google BERT update. We're going to be talking about the New York Times, talking about getting hit around the BERT update as well. Flash websites would not be indexed by Google in the future soon, and we're going to have a lot of link building topics plus a lot more, so stay tuned. Let me start off by saying, yes, I know I'm congested. I had a cold. When I get a cold, it takes me weeks to recover. I feel perfectly fine. I'm just congested. Yeah, I see all the comments. I appreciate it, but I'm sorry in advance. And I could not do these videos or I could do these videos. So it's up to you. If you don't like the way I sound, you don't have to listen to them. But I'm trying to give you guys the news in a very quick way. And I appreciate all the feedback and all the concerns, but I feel perfectly fine. I'm just congested. Thank you for your concerns. I'll get that out of the way right away. In any event, let's talk about BERT, because BERT is cute. In any event, Google has a lot of advice around BERT. If you missed it, Google launched the BERT change they announced it a week ago today, last Friday. It rolled out last week, and it was basically a way of Google understanding languages, more conversational and natural languages in a better way, which means the search results, in some cases, one out of every 10 or so search results have changed. It's not a ranking change, it's just a way of how Google understands queries and content on the page. That being said, Google has said there is nothing to optimize for with BERT. Here's Danny Sullivan saying, there is nothing to optimize for with BERT, nor anyone to be thinking about. The fundamentals of us seeking to reward great content remain unchanged. He then goes on to say, my answer was the BERT doesn't change the fundamentals of what we've long said, write content for users. You or anyone working with clients have long been able to say, this is what we say. And then he goes on. It goes on and on and on. I'm not going to go through it all, but basically Google is saying, and multiple Googlers are saying, there's nothing specifically to optimize for BERT. So why did Google say 1 in every 10 queries were affected? This is the biggest change they made in about 5 years, Google said. But why does it feel so small to the SEO community? This doesn't feel as large as a Panda update, a Penguin update, a Google Core ranking update. It feels less, but Google said this is big. And I think it has to do with a lot of the tracking tools there's twofold. One is the tracking tools that are tracking this, and Pete Myers said this, track more of the short tail keywords, shorter phrases, head terms, and where BERT is looking more at the natural language conversational type queries, which are generally longer tail keywords, conversations, sentences, and so forth. And maybe a lot of Google's queries these days, because of Google Assistant and voice search, and maybe the newer people who are searching, younger kids, search more long-winded than us who search with less keywords. That being said, because of that, these tools that are tracking it, Rank Ranger, Mozcast, et cetera, are tracking shorter keywords that aren't impacted by BERT, which is why maybe they didn't see such a massive change. Two is that sites like you or mine, most of our traffic comes from shorter tail keywords. The longer tail keywords, maybe a lot of traffic comes to it, but it's not like you see, let's say this site ranks well for Google SEO. I don't know if it does or not. That would not be impacted. Somebody searching Google SEO, this site wouldn't be impacted by BERT per se, because it's a short tail keyword. But if somebody types in a long keyword about how does Google BERT impact my site's rankings with Google Discover, that long keyword phrase, Google might use BERT technology there to figure out what it means, and then maybe that page, that specific page that maybe gets 5 visits a week, might get 20 visits a week versus 5, or might get 1 visit a week versus 5. And because this is a small thing, whereas Google SEO might send me hundreds of users per week, this long tail keyword would send me like 1 or 2 or 3, and you won't feel it as much. So that's my rationale behind that. And talking about that, New York Times, a person from the New York Times, Hannah from New York Times, said that it felt big to the New York Times. She went on Twitter and responded to my tweet about why it didn't feel so big, and she said over here, feels huge to us at the NYT, New York Times. But it also coincided with the mobile first indexing change. They were changed to mobile first indexing the same time. She said it was a negative change, And say the BERT update and the mobile first indexing change for them happened the same week. I looked at the SEM traffic, looked like it was going up. John Mueller said, we don't move domain names of mobile first indexing, blah, blah, blah. We think sites are ready, basically saying it's probably not related to mobile first indexing, but we'll look into it. Very interesting that the New York Times said they got hit by it. The only person the New York Times actually commented about this was her. I hope she doesn't get in trouble for that. It's very interesting for the SEO community to hear this information for many reasons. But I don't know. I mean, it doesn't seem, at least from the tracking tools, that they were hit, but she would know better because she has access to more deeper tools. Obviously, because she works at the New York Times. Google announced this week that Google will stop indexing content within Flash. So SWF files are going away. Google said this is happening, I think, later this year. And Google said Google search will stop supporting Flash later this year. Web pages that contain Flash content, Google search will ignore the Flash content completely. Google search will also stop indexing standalone SWF files. Google started indexing Flash in July of 2008. So a decade ago or so. They never really indexed it well, but it is what it is. And because browsers like Safari, Chrome, all the latest browsers don't really support Flash. It's funny, my payroll company just launched a new website that requires Flash to log into. Whatever, that's another story. But Google's going to stop indexing Flash, and it makes sense. It makes sense for them to do that at this point. I asked Google if they have any plans like Bing to release some type of content submission API and remove crawling altogether. So Bing's basically announced the beta where you can actually go ahead, I discussed this weeks ago, where you can actually take your content, your HTML, package it up and send it to Bing in an API. So Bing doesn't actually have to go to this page and crawl it and find out what the page is about. And John Mueller said, no, we have no plans on doing that. What we're doing, or at least with the indexing API, Google has an indexing API. It's just for job postings and live streams. He said it's significantly different from what Bing's doing. Whenever they have these conversations, they always say, we want to go ahead and crawl the page for numerous reasons. So Google, according to him at least, has no plans to ever, in the short term, at least in his foreseeable future, ever ask people to submit their content via HTML via some type of API. Google also said that there's no plans to ever add referrer data, Google has no plans to add referrer data to Google Discover traffic. So right now you can get to Google Discover reports in Google Search Console, and that's what John Mueller said. There are no plans to break out further the Google Doc. Basically, any traffic from Google Discover appears that it's just coming from Google.com, which is confusing if you have analytics. But Google said, hey, we have the data in Google Search Console. We have Discover reports. You can get performance reports in Google Discover and see what's going on.
This on the web.
And because of that, John Mueller's like, we're not adding the refer data. I know a lot of people who like it. It's a shame, but hopefully they'll reconsider, but we'll see what happens. Google said mobile first indexing is not about adjusting rankings in search results. It's specifically about how they how they index content across the web, and they're looking at their mobile version versus your desktop version. It has nothing to do with adjusting rankings. It may impact if this page is not equivalent to the mobile version of that page, it may impact your rankings. And because of that, that's just a heads up, but that's just something to consider. Again, it's not about adjusting rankings, and that was related to New York Times. Google's also said that internal PageRank sculpting using nofollow is really a waste of time. John Mueller said this over here, basically saying it's a waste of time to go ahead and try to do that, or at least he thinks it's a waste of time. A lot of SEOs still do that. Also, John Mueller said that links with diminishing traffic doesn't actually symbolize that link is less valuable. He said the traffic to a link, to the page that has the link, or the traffic the link sends to your web page has no real direct impact on how much PageRank or how much link value that link has pointing to your website. So just keep that in mind. Lily Ray did a very interesting poll on Twitter that got over 1,000 results, or 1,000 votes. And she asked, have you or your company purchased backlinks of any quality for your own site or any of your client sites at any point in the past 5 years or so? The results of over 1,100 results were split down the middle 50-50. Most people are saying, I'm surprised, it should be higher. But honestly, I'm surprised anybody would actually say they actually buy links anymore. Of course they do, as you can see over there. Actually, I thought it'd be higher in terms of the number of SEOs buying links. Google also talked this morning in John Mueller's video, webmaster video, basically saying, can building links too fast result in some type of penalty? And the question was, if I started building link building and I built 200 links in 2 days, but before that I built 0 links in 2 years, could that result in a Google penalty? And John Mueller said it's not really about the time period in which the links are built necessarily. It's more about the concept of link building in general, meaning are you building links that are against Google's guidelines, like link exchanges or dropping links in bad sites and so forth. And unnatural links are a penalty against Google's guidelines. So the activity of doing something like that in general is something that might impact you. Definitely take a look at that if you're interested. Google is investigating some broken, what appears to be broken search operators. Specifically, there's a bunch of operators that are broken, like the related operator. Not sure if it's still broken. I should really check it out. As well as the similar to the entitle and the in URL parameters. So Google's Danny Sullivan is looking into what the issue is. I'm just checking in real time now if it's working, and it doesn't seem to be working yet, which is a shame. Google has not yet commented if it's what's going on, but they are looking into it. Google announced last night that SiteKit is now going to be available as an easy download or an easy install for WordPress. So if you have a WordPress site, Google partnered up with WordPress and built into it the ability to actually install SiteKit, which basically gives you Google Search Console data, Google Analytics data, Google Optimize data, Google AdSense, Analytics, Page Speed Insights, Tag Manager data directly in WordPress. So you can get the thing right into your WordPress console, including data on individual pages. There's an admin bar that shows you general data, as well as milestone notifications about hitting certain milestones with your site and so forth. So that's pretty cool. Google launched a new video for how search works. The old video was created by Matt Cutts, who is obviously no longer at Google. So definitely take out that new video about how Google search works. It's been several years since Google updated that. Google Ads had a login issue for about an hour a couple days ago. That login issue has no impact on ad serving or ad reporting, according to Google, so do not worry. Google Ads launched a new lead form extension. It basically auto-fills in the data about that searcher if they're logged into their account. It's a beta right now, so if somebody clicks on an ad to apply now, what will happen is it will pop up on a form right in front of the user, basically asking them to fill in their information. But since Google knows who they are because they're logged into their Google account, it would auto-fill in their information for them to submit, and that hopefully get you the lead faster. Google My Business is testing the ability to do messaging by sending customers photos. So not just text messaging, but actually sending photos through Google My Business messaging app, which is pretty cool. And finally, I posted the part 2 version of the vlog with Eric Enge from Proficient Digital, and we talked a lot about SEO testing, how to structure your content, and managing client expectations. So definitely check that out. I will be traveling to Google on Monday for the Webmaster Conference. I hope to do a vlog about that, interviewing potentially certain Googlers that you will probably love to hear. So looking forward to doing that as well, and maybe make a vlog of the whole trip and the experience of the Google Webmaster Conference. So working on my editing skills. Apologize for the cold. Thanks so much for listening to the Search Buzz Video Recap. Again, today is Friday, November 1st, and that's the search news we covered over at the Search Engine Roundtable at SERoundtable.com. Bye.